So I thought I'd try something a bit new today, and if you like this idea it might become a regular series. If you don't like the idea, I can make sure it never happens again. So the concept is this: I'm going to come up with a backing track, and it might be across a range of different styles of music. It might be inspired by a particular artist or song. Then I'm going to take a solo over that backing track and then discuss the chord progression and discuss the soloing options you might have over that particular chord progression. And then I'd like you to have a go yourself. I'm going to make all of these backing tracks available for free on my website. And what I'd like to do is make this series accessible to everybody, no matter what your level of ability. So I'm going to try and give you some soloing options if you're a beginner, and then I'm going to give you some more advanced options as well. Now, the backing track that I've come up with today is based on the chords from Neil Young's On the Beach, one of my favourite songs from, I think, one of my favourite albums of all time. It's a simple but really nice chord progression to play over. And I'm going to start by just taking a solo, seeing what happens. I'm not necessarily going to try soloing in the Neil Young style, though I dare say some of that might come out. So let's just see what happens, and then I'll discuss. So before we get into the soloing stuff, I think we need to understand the chord progression. So that's where I'd like to start. And we're only using 4 chords here. We're in the key of A minor, and the song starts off with an A minor 7 chord, and we've really got 4 bars of A minor 7. And occasionally there's just a passing D minor 7, which I think you can ignore for improvisation purposes. So it's 4 bars of A minor 7. Then we're going to D minor 7, and we've got 2 bars of that before going back to A minor 7 for another couple of bars. So you can play these chords wherever you like. The simplest option would be to play them down in the open position, A minor 7 like this, and then D minor 7 like this. You could play them up here as bar chords if you like. And for me, the chord progression to start off with just sounds like a minor blues. We've got the 1 chord in A minor going to the 4 chord and then back again. Then what happens is we depart from that minor blues format in what I suppose you could call the chorus of the song, and we actually head to the relative major key, and we've got C major 7 for a bar, and then F major 7 for a bar, and then we repeat that, So one way of seeing that is that we've moved to the relative major key and we've got a 1 to 4 in the relative major. Now you need to understand that A minor, C major, they contain the same notes, the same chords, so you don't need to kind of worry too much about that, but that's one way of understanding the chord progression. So we've got that little section in the relative major, then we're back to the minor key again, and the chord progression rounds off with 4 more bars on A minor 7, again with that little passing D minor 7. So that's our basic chord progression. Now, as far as notes and scales which will work over these chords, all of the chords are in the key of A minor or C major, whichever way you want to look at it. So I think you've got 2 main scale options here. First of which is going to be the good old A minor pentatonic scale, which I'm sure most of you already know. And then the second option is going to be the 7-note A natural minor scale. So that's the notes of the A minor pentatonic scale, plus we've got an extra couple of notes in there as well. So you could play that like this. So both of those options would work. I think the A minor pentatonic scale is going to sound a bit more stripped down and bluesy. The A natural minor scale is going to give you a little bit more melody, so you might like to blend the two of those things. So let me play a little bit more over this backing track, and I'm going to start with the simple A minor pentatonic scale, and this is obviously going to be the best starting point if you're a beginner, but even if you're an advanced player, this still might be the best option over this particular chord progression. I think it sounds really good. Most of Neil Young's solo on this song is taken from the A minor pentatonic scale, so there's nothing at all wrong with just using this scale throughout the chord progression. Things to think about here, I think: try and leave a bit of space. You don't want to be playing all over this chord progression right from the beginning of your solo. Try and get as much expression as you can out of a few notes. I mean, that's something that Neil Young is so good at. He can just play one note and really make it count. So try and play with some commitment and with some expression, and just think about coming up with some nice phrases. It's not about doing anything fancy here. So once you're feeling ready to venture beyond the minor pentatonic scale, then I think the next step would be to incorporate some of the notes from the A natural minor scale and blend that with the minor pentatonic approach. One thing that sounds good to me on this particular progression is to stick with A minor pentatonic on the A minor 7 chord, and then to blend in some of those natural minor sounds on the D minor 7, on the C major and the F major chords. And that way you've got a nice combination of the bluesy stuff and then the melodic stuff. And that sounds a bit like this. The next level, I think, would be thinking about bringing out the sound of the chords that you're playing over, really describing each chord as it goes by. So I suppose what we're talking about here is more of a chord tone soloing approach. And I think the simplest way into this is just to try emphasizing the root notes of whatever chord you happen to be on. So if you're playing over the A minor 7 chord, then you're going to be emphasizing the A notes. Over the D minor 7, we've got the Ds. Then over the C major 7, we've got the Cs, and then the Fs here. So very simple, just emphasizing those root notes, and it really makes you sound like you know what you're doing when you're playing over the chord progression. So knowing your roots is important, but then if you want to go beyond that, then you want to think about the other notes in each of the chords. So this is where you might like to think about the arpeggios of each of the chords in the chord progression. So over A minor 7, you're going to be thinking an A minor 7 arpeggio, likewise D minor 7, then we've got C major 7 and F major 7. Lots of ways and places that you could play this on the fretboard. I think it's nice to try and find those arpeggios all in one position, and that makes for smoother soloing and smoother melodies, I think. And of course, you don't just want to be soloing using arpeggios, or it will sound a bit like an exercise, so you can blend that in with some of the scale and the bluesy approach that we discussed earlier. So let me take another solo, and I'm going to use an arpeggio based approach for this one. Let's finish with an idea for you more advanced players, and this one is about using extended arpeggios or superimposed arpeggios, which allow you to access some more colourful notes over some of these chords. So for instance, over an A minor 7th chord, A minor 7 is the obvious arpeggio option, but you could try playing a C major 7 over an A minor 7 chord, and that would give you the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, the flat 7th and the 9th over that particular chord. Likewise over a D minor 7 you could try playing an F major 7 arpeggio, and over the major chords in particular I like using this idea. So over a C major 7, an E minor 7 arpeggio sounds really cool, because again it's giving you the 3rd, 5th, 7th and the 9th, which is a really nice colour. And then over the F major 7, same concept, we would use an A minor 7 arpeggio. So the way of accessing that, it's about thinking about starting your arpeggio on the 3rd of the chord. Some jazz guys call these 3 to 9 arpeggios because you're going from the 3rd up through the 9th. It's giving you an access to those extended notes. So not that I'm suggesting you want to sound like a jazz player on this particular chord progression, but it's a way of accessing some interesting sounds that go beyond just going up and down the usual scales. The gear that I'm using today, guitar, is my Jazzmaster. It's an American 65 reissue Jazzmaster, using the neck pickup today into my Vox AC30, using 3 pedals today. And first of all, I'm going into a fuzz pedal, and I've dug out my JHS Mini Foot Fuzz, which is a tone bender style fuzz pedal, and that sounds like this. I've just got my clean sound here. This is going straight into the amp. And then the Mini Foot Fuzz. So that's a nice sound on its own, but what I've chosen to do is to place another overdrive after the fuzz pedal, and that just tightens up the sound, thickens things up, and just tames a little bit of that fizzy high end. So I'm running into my J Rocket Archer pedal coming after the fuzz. So this is just the fuzz. And then with the Archer as well. And using one other pedal, and that is my Belle Epoque Deluxe delay. And I've got that between the 2 drive pedals. So I've got the Mini Foot Fuzz, then the delay, then the Archer. And the delay is set for not to any particular tempo. I've got 3 or 4 repeats, a fairly quick delay time, and I've got the mix control set quite low, so it's blended in the background there, just again thickening up the sound slightly. So that's it for this video. Enjoy playing along to the backing track. Remember, it's about ideas and expression and having fun. It's not about licks and chops and technique and all of that boring stuff. As I said, the backing track is going to be available for free on my website. I'm going to put a link to that underneath this video. And if you'd like a downloadable MP3 of the backing track, then I'll try and put that up on my Patreon page. And also thought I'd put together a little workbook to accompany this lesson, where I'll just write out some of the scales and arpeggios that I discussed earlier. Do let me know if you've got any ideas for future lessons in this series. If you know of any nice songs or chord progressions that you'd like to hear me solo over, then let me know in a comment or send me a message, and I'll try and make that happen in the future. But thanks for watching today, and I shall see you next time. Bye.